Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Wilds War Cry. I am your host, Stephen Wilds, and we are on the cusp of Wrestlemania 32. We want to discuss it. We want to say what our predictions are, and we want to find out if it's going to be booty or not, right? With me
Oh God.
today to decide, let's say it's him deciding, because I think he's already pretty much got it set in his ways with this. If you follow his Twitter, you know he's Captain Negative. That's Ulysses!
Very much so, yes. And I'm also negative of you at the moment because you said 32, and it's not WrestleMania 32. It's
It's
WrestleMania Dallas.
Star. It's WrestleMania Star. Just like last year was WrestleMania Play. I don't approve of them getting rid of the numbers. I like the numbers.
Neither do I. It's for the. Apparently, Vince doesn't want to feel old. That's why he doesn't let him call it the
He doesn't
granddaddy of
want
it
yeah,
all.
he doesn't want the he doesn't want the product to feel dated, which I just think it's weird because correct me if I'm wrong. I think we discussed this, but the Super Bowl still does that, and I'm sure there are other events that still have the numbers, right?
Yes, they do.
Right.
Damn it, Vince. Bring back the numbers.
All right, so before we really get going into WrestleMania, though, we're going to look pretty closely at that card. But I do want to discuss one thing that I know you and I are looking forward to, and I'm sure a lot of others are, which is going to be Takeover Dallas, the NXT event that will happen this Friday, right before WrestleMania. And this is a very short but very interesting card. We have Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, which just kind of feels like a dream match because it is. Then we have Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. We have Bayley versus Asuka for the Women's Championship. We have the Tag Team Championships being defended by Dash and Dawson, and they'll take on one of my favorite teams, American Alpha. Then we have Austin Aries making his NXT in-ring debut against Baron Corbin. What do you think
Ooh.
overall? Anything you're really excited for? What do you got here?
Yeah, well, I'm most excited easily for the Shinsuke Nakamura match versus Sami Zayn. Mainly just because I love me some Sami Zayn. Really, I do. He's quite possibly my favorite wrestler WWE has in any other roster. But I just want to see what they do with Shinsuke. I really hope they don't mess with him too much. Like, just keep the hard style. Because they've already advertised him as the King of Hardstyle, if I'm not correct.
Oh, yeah, strong style.
Strong style, I'm sorry. Apologies. Well, they already like advertised him as that. So if they don't mess with that too much, and if they just let him go out there and just tear the house down, and WWE is in a world of hurt because this might be the match that steals the entire weekend. So let's just see how this goes. I'm holding it in high praise for the moment.
No. I agree with that, and I do think that's going to be the big must-see match. However, just to kind of highlight something else, I really think the other one is going to be Dash and Dawson versus American Alpha. That is, American Alpha is an incredible team. Dash and Dawson are two very good mechanics. I think we're going to see a lot of real good work put in there. I don't think Finn Balor and Samoa Joe are going to disappoint. That's going to be a good, hard fight. Bayley and Asuka are definitely probably going to put on a good show. Those are two very talented ladies. And, Austin Aries, man, the greatest man alive. Fuck, right? But overall, that looks to be an amazing show. However, to transition into what we're here to discuss, Sami Zayn will have to pull double duty this weekend because he is also in the Intercontinental title ladder match. So I want to talk about that for a minute. We'll start with that match since we have several participants, some of which you were a fan of, some of which you were not. But some of my favorite people are in this: Kevin Owens, Stardust, and Zack Ryder, of course.
Ooh.
Hater. Ziggler, The Miz, and Sami Zayn, as we mentioned. So these men are all going to be going for the belt. They had a very similar match to this last year, I believe, which was what most of us remember is Dean Ambrose getting put through the ladder and it looking very, very, very painful. So what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on it that I think WWE dropped the ball hard on the IC title. I
Explain.
don't see the need for a 7-man ladder match. Like, is this gonna be the thing? Like, are we gonna go 5 straight years of okay, we just need to throw something out there to please the fans. So let's just give all the guys that are great workers, put them in a ladder, give them the IC belt. Why not? I don't want like they could have done like I would have rather traded this match in for like a singles match between Zayn and Owens, or if you really want to, because for some reason they started pushing Ziggler all of a sudden. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Ziggler fan, but he's been pointless for like the last year and a half. If you want, put him in a triple threat match and just leave it there. Nice condensed match. You could work it out better. You don't need the ladder, but like, and then the other thing is the most of the contestants you just said, like Ryder, does not like. There is no justification you could give me that justifies him being in this match. Same goes with Ziggler.
He started banging Emma. That's a good justification. No,
I believe that's a trophy well enough. Look, do you want the IC title or do you want to bang Emma?
I agree with you in the sense that I'm okay with it being a ladder match. That adds a little bit of spice to it, something a little bit different. But I kind of agree with you. I didn't need all these guys. This was, what, 7 people? And, you know, I would have been fine with a triple threat match or a fatal 4-way or something. Would have been fine.
Yeah.
And no offense to Sin Cara, but I'm pretty sure either Zack Ryder or Sin Cara was supposed to originally be Neville, but he rolled his ankle.
I'm going with Sin Cara. You had to have switch a high flyer for another one.
Right. The reason I do know that the people backstage have been really impressed with Ryder's work as of late because he's been a real team player and he's been going down to NXT and teaming with Mojo Rawley, doing the hype burst stuff. Plus he's been doing Superstars and a little bit on Raw here and there. I don't know. I like Ryder. I know not everyone does. Like Ulysses.
Boo.
But you know, either way, I think the last few years especially, they've come to the point where they're like, well, we have a lot of talented people, and we don't want to not give them a chance to shine at the biggest show of the year, so we need one really big match. And I thought that's what the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal was going to be, but, you know, I guess they needed something else. Who do you see winning this? I'll tell you that I really think Owens will retain. What do you think?
I'm right there with you, actually. Like, I know that if they give it to Sammy, that'd be like a good little crowning moment for Sammy. But I just feel like you could get a lot more out of the story if, say, you recall, I believe it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when it was Damian Sandows and Cody Rhodes were going for the Money in the Bank, and then Damian screws them out.
Yeah,
I think you could get a lot more of the story if you do pretty much exactly that, where Sami Zayn's about to get it, but in the last second, say Owens powerbombs him through a ladder, similar to like the Dean Ambrose fall last year.
right.
And then Owens wins that. I think you get a lot more story out of it if you do it like that.
So you want to continue the Owens-Zayn feud for the next couple of months after WrestleMania?
Yes, 2-3 months probably.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think you could do that. Now, speaking of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, what are the chances of this ending up on the pre-show again?
100%.
I was gonna say 60 to 75, but okay. We don't know all of the participants, but we saw a good chunk of them on the last episode of SmackDown and on this past episode of Raw. Anyone that you see standing out that you think it would be a good push for them, or that just makes sense for them to win this year?
In my heart of hearts, I don't see really anybody winning this, nor do I want anybody winning this because this trophy's pretty much irrelevant. But it would do the most good if you give it to either Braun Strowman or Bray Wyatt. You got to give it to a member of the Wyatt family because it's a damn shame that they're not in the card, first of all.
Right.
But
they may interfere in the Lesnar match. We'll talk about that later, but I agree with you. They should have a title, or not a title, but a match on the card.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. Even though I despise them, but anyway. I believe you get the most good if you give it to a Wyatt. Like, I guess if the WWE does a thing where they did last year where they were just like, you know what, Big Show's close to retirement, let's give him a little something. Like, I would be so angry if they give it to like Mark Henry or Kane, because It won't do anything. But
That's hilarious you say that. I have written down as my pick that I think they'll give it to someone like Kane because this is my theory. So the King of the Ring is supposed to be the thing you give to the guy who's about to transition from either the mid card or the lower main event up to bigger status, right? And it
correct.
goes with them usually for about a year, and it pumps them up. So to me, this is like the thing you give to people who are just showing that they've done well, but like, hey, we don't want to give you a push really because you're either not ready for it or you're over, your career's kind of ending or whatever. And I know that the one exception here, of course, would be Cesaro, but I think they were like, hey, we can't give you the push we want to give you right now, so here's this thing instead. But it doesn't last as long as the King of the Ring push, and it's not as good. So I was actually going to say Kane because he's got to be getting towards the end, and they're probably like, hey, you're a great company guy. Here's this thing, this trophy.
See, this would have been great if it wasn't for the fact that the Wyatts and the Kane have fought forever. Because it would have been better. Like, I would agree, Kane should have won if him and the Wyatts never touched. Because if Kane would have won, then you probably could have used that to elevate the Wyatts even higher. But at this point, I believe you could for what that could raise the Wyatts, you could just easily just skip the middleman and just give them this right now.
Yeah. So I want to talk about one of my favorite teams in WWE, which is the New Day. But I want to talk about how disappointed I am in this current feud they have going with the League of Nations. Because although I think the League of Nations is comprised of decent people who could be used well, I don't know what they're doing right now. And I don't know what they're doing with this. And now apparently, I've heard two different rumors. One, I've heard that this match got moved to the pre-show, which fine if it did, because I don't really care about the outcome anymore. It'll be more, I'll be watching for the New Day's introduction and everything and want to see what they do with that. But two, I also heard it's not for the titles anymore. This is just a match now. And
Wait, what?
yeah, apparently this is not going to be for the titles anymore. I hope that that's wrong. But tell me your thoughts on the feud building with the New Day and the League of Nations.
This is the worst. I This is one of the two worst buildings that I can't get behind. I agree with you. I love the New Day. I think they're great. I've been a Biggie fan since he was Ziggler's bodyguard, but I just can't. Like, I cannot find it in me to care even the slightest a bit. And if you telling me right now that it's not for the straps, then why even care? Like, I agree with you. I don't necessarily hate Lon or the League of Nations. I don't. Sheamus is the only one I don't like just because I think he's boring in the ring and his character. Alberto, Rusev, and even King Buried over there, they're good. Like, they could do great stuff in the ring, but like, the building of this has been confusing because they kind of turned the New Day, which I think was a big loss. Like, you should have kept them as the heels that they were, and then the League of Nations as themselves are like ridiculously boring. They have no real connection, and I love how quickly Sheamus stopped caring about the fact that he was the WWE champion, not
Yeah,
like 5 months ago.
yeah.
He just doesn't care anymore. He goes like, I got the title. Who cares?
I got my
It's
515 shirt. I'm good.
yeah. He probably sold only like two of those, but
Here's my
it's
thing. They did turn them semi-face, but I'm hoping they keep them kind of neutral, where they don't overdo it with the face stuff, so that they can easily turn them back heel. Maybe they were just like, look, these are two teams we want to fight, but we don't want to permanently turn, one of them. So, we'll have the New Day go where if you notice, all of their stuff is directed at the League of Nations, and they're not been taking pop shots at other heels, and they're not doing anything that's so face that it'll actually hurt their heel heat in the long run. If this is going to be a temporary thing and they keep it pretty short and simple, that's fine. I'm hoping this feud ends at WrestleMania, especially with that we know King Barrett's leaving in the summer. So
that, and I feel like the WWE dropped the ball hard on the tag team match for WrestleMania because this is what I thought. I thought this was going to happen the second the Dudleys came back. You have the Dudleys, put them in there. You could put the Usos kind of in the Hardy Boy role with the High Flyers, and then the New Day is exactly what Edge and Christian were.
Right.
Put them in the TLC match. I thought that's where they were heading to, and the fact that it's not there just utterly depresses me.
Right. Instead of doing a 7-man match for the IC belt, you could have had 4 tag teams, used even one additional person more than that, and it made more sense.
Exactly.
Now, is it weird to you, as it is to me, that Big E had such trouble when he first faced Rusev when they were doing the feud, but now he's just throwing him around?
Yeah, it's funny because I have never really thought about that, but I think about that now, and that kind of cracks me up. I was like, that guy was once strong enough to make you pass out. Now he's not even a credible threat to you. That's kind of funny now that you bring that up.
You mentioned the Usos and the Dudley Boys earlier, so let's talk about that. This is another match that looks like it's going to be on the pre-show because it looks like they're going to actually do 2. They're doing at least 2, but possibly 3 matches on the pre-show because there are 11 matches total for this WrestleMania. So we have Usos and Dudleys, and one of my complaints, and you may not even know this if you don't watch SmackDown, that's where most of the build for this match has been happening. Once they did the initial turn where the Dudley Boys turn heel, and they kind of started it on Raw. Everything else that they've really done to progress this feud, which hasn't been bad, but it's all been on SmackDown. So anyone who doesn't watch SmackDown has missed most of this, and they're probably like, oh, that's still going on?
Pretty much exactly what you stated is exactly how I feel, because I do not watch SmackDown. And I completely forgot that this was a current feud that was happening. And when I heard that it was on WrestleMania, I was just like, when was this even advertised? Like, how was this even built to begin with, other than that like rushed heel turn that didn't even lead to a match in the next pay-per-view? It was
right.
This came out of left field to me.
I thought they would have had a match at Roadblock.
Exactly, and the fact that they didn't, again, they're dropping the ball on this ridiculously hard.
Which is really weird because it seems like they could have done so much more with Roadblock. I mean, let's just be honest. Fastlane, kind of a disappointment. You really didn't need to watch it. I have a buddy who he's trying to catch up so he can watch WrestleMania, and he was like, what do I need to watch? And I was like, well, I'll fill you in on everything you missed on Raw, and all you need to watch is the Royal Rumble. Because Fastlane was almost kind of a non-point, and Roadblock was kind of the same way. You don't need to watch them. Nothing huge happened.
I'm trying to think. Was it Royal Rumble or Fastlane where Kalisto officially won the title?
Oh, that might have been Fastlane.
Okay, well then that's pretty much the only other match you really need to watch.
And I'm glad you brought him up. So Kalisto versus Ryback for the U.S. belt.
Say it right. It's the Ryback.
The Ryback. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Kalisto versus the Ryback for the U.S. title is okay. So for those who may not know, it's commonplace in a WrestleMania with 10 plus matches that one of the matches just gets wiped off the show. Not pre-show, not anything. They've done sometimes where they'll have it at Access Weekend on Saturday or Friday, but since there's an NXT event, I don't see that happening. So it just gets erased. There's a lot of really good matches that's happened to. In fact, on WWE.com, they did a bunch of matches that people, like fans, never saw. And one of them was the WrestleMania 9 match between Papa Shango and Tito Santana that was great match, but no one ever saw it unless you were live in the audience that night. So this is my vote for what that'll happen to this match. Any thoughts on the Ryback versus the little guy?
I don't like this match. I hate the building. I hate the reasoning behind this. Surprisingly, I am for a heel Ryback.
I'm over a face Ryback, sure, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel that we're going into that Rey Mysterio territory with I've talked about this in length in prior podcasts, so I'll just condense it here. they're booking him. They're booking Kalisto wrong right now as the underdog role. I know he won on the last Raw, but he beat against Connor. Like I could beat Connor at this point. But like I feel they're gonna book him wrong, and it's pretty easy for me to say the Ryback to win, only because WWE has a more cohesive story and a easier story to root for if the little guy just doesn't have the belt and he's trying to chase it,
Sure.
rather than once he has it. So I guess you got to give it to the Ryback. It looks like they're trying to push him for like the 20th time since he's shown, because every once in a while they push him and then he's worthless. He shows how worthless he is, and Vince is back there pumping irons with him, saying like, "Oh yeah, you're amazing." But I don't know. Like I guess Ryback has to win. I really don't see Kalisto walking out of this as a champion.
I'm actually going to disagree with you on this, and this is why. So here's my theory. We know that they want this to be Rey Mysterio Part 2, which, by the way, Rey Mysterio debuted in Lucha Underground, and it was kind of cool. So just throwing that out there. They want this to be Rey Mysterio Part 2. And I think what happened with Rey a lot was Rey didn't really hold the belt much. You know, Rey was, like you said, he was the guy chasing the belt or fighting the big guy. He didn't hold the belt a lot. So WWE's like, to make this seem like we're not doing that, we're going to put the belt on this guy and let him keep it for a while. So that's my theory, is that he'll be the underdog who somehow keeps winning against guys that he should never win against.
Yeah. I just don't like the Ryback.
All right. So let's talk about the Divas for a second. And since I know you keep up with Total Divas way more than I do you care that there is a Total Divas team versus a Bad and Blondes, if I read that correctly?
Would you be shocked if I said yes?
Only a little. Only a little.
Okay.
Here's my thing. They did this again where we just talked about this. They're like, we have a lot of diva talent right now, and we've been focusing on these 3 new divas for the title match. They were probably like, we got to throw the other divas a bone, so 10-person match. That'll get a lot of the ladies some airtime, and I'm not going to go into a long diatribe about this, but I really think WWE thought that they were going to have a more positive reaction when Eva Marie came out as the surprise member, not really that surprise, of, Team Total Divas.
See,
if I thought for a split second, if it had been Nikki returning, I might have actually popped. Like, I might have actually been a little bit excited about this. But as soon as Eva Marie came out, I was just like, well, I guess they'll lose.
Okay, I have 3 quick points about this.
All right.
1, it's so sad to see how far Paige and Natalya has dropped. There's no reason why Paige and Natalya shouldn't be.
Sure.
They shouldn't be. They should be viewed the same way that Sasha and the rest are. That's point number 1. Point number 2, I actually do disagree with you in the sense where you thought that WWE was going to have a big pop when Eva Marie came out.
No, I think they thought that she would get a pop.
Exactly. I disagree with that.
Okay. So tell me why.
I think WWE wanted that exact reaction, because this is the thing. I wouldn't have thought this way unless I believe it was Byron Saxon. He pointed this out. When he came out, you saw that, like, he straight up said, the other divas are kind of looking at her like, what? Like, I don't really trust her.
This is true. I will give you that in the sense that Paige, I think, literally knocks her hand away when she tries to grab her hand. So I will give you that. Okay.
And then this leads to my third point, because I'm actually interested in this match because I actually want to see 2 particular divas wrestle. One is actually Eva Marie.
You want to see if her time with Brian Kendrick has helped her at all?
Yes. Because her first match when she came out, when she was like greener than cow poop, she was awful. Yeah. She couldn't sell for anything.
Yeah.
I've seen her in NXT. Her selling has gone like a fraction better.
Right.
And her wrestling has become infinitely better than when she started. She actually could do something.
Right. If she was at if we're on a 1 to 10 scale, her selling has gone up, like you said, like a fraction. but her wrestling has gone up at least 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, like I believe she now realizes that the wrestling ring is a square. I wasn't sure if she comprehended that when she first started, and I want to see that. And I'm almost certain this is gonna build to her heel turn because I could see it where it's like her and like Natalia or Paige left, and then she just walks out on them.
Yeah.
And then the second diva I really want to see is I want to see Lana.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if she can wrestle.
Only because I want to shove it in all the faces of the fans if I'm right. Because remember a while back, I was angry that fans kept shouting "We want Lana" during, I believe it was a Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks match, and I'm like, you guys don't even know if this girl could wrestle.
Yeah.
These two girls in the ring could wrestle their asses off. So I want to see how this girl wrestles. Yeah. If she's like Eva Marie bad, this just drops the ball and everything.
Well, now let me just say, and I don't know how she's going to wrestle. I have not heard, but she has been training for well over a year. So I'm hoping that she's at least decent. One of the problems is she did not, like Eva Marie, she did not spend much time in NXT, and most of her time in NXT was as a managerial role, right? So she didn't get the training that a lot of these girls have had. She, had done some very small stunt stuff before wrestling, but she was not a wrestler before she came to WWE. So it'll be interesting to see if they were able to teach her in the time that they had. And, now that I think about it more, I'm a little more interested in this than I thought I was. And it'll be nice to see a few people out there. So I give you that. Let's talk about Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, because these three are the exact match that I predicted months ago that would happen at WrestleMania. I said this is exactly what you would need to do to get people interested in the women's title. Who are you picking?
I can't go with anybody other than Sasha Banks.
I gotta agree with you. I like all three wrestlers, but out of the three, I want to see either Sasha or Becky walk away with the belt. Nothing against Charlotte. I think she does great. I have enjoyed heel Charlotte way more than I ever enjoyed face Charlotte. But
agree.
I'm gonna say something, and I have a feeling you might agree with me. I need one thing to happen. I want Ric Flair to cost Charlotte the match so that she drops him. And it's not because
right out of my mouth.
It's not because I don't like Ric Flair. I'm just honestly tired of seeing him and people talking about him and him interfering without any type of payoff. I either need one of the female wrestlers, which I know Becky elbowed him, but I either need one of the female wrestlers to just completely go nuts and just attack him, which he can take it, or I need him and Charlotte to have a falling out. I need one of those two things to happen.
Yeah, like my first thought was like, it just sucks. It sucks so much, and I know you agree with me. It sucks that in first glance, when you think of it logically through wrestling logic, it sucks that Becky's probably going to be the fall girl for this.
Yeah.
And that sucks so bad because I love me some Becky Lynch as well.
Let's just hope it pays off for her later down the line. Hopefully after Sasha has a good run or Charlotte finishes her run, hopefully Becky will be next in line.
Yeah, agree. And then second, you pretty much stole the words right out of me. I need Ric Flair to go back to either TNA or retire because
go back to drinking. Just doing what he
go back
best.
To drinking. Like, that hasn't killed you yet, so I guess it's doing something for you.
That man's doing something right. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Yeah, because in the main roster, her as a heel, I never took her as a seriously. But when she was NXT as a heel, when she used to berate Bayley and all that, she was the best. She was the best. But now that she's I just hate because pretty much how fans hate Roman because they keep saying, "Oh, that's The Rock's cousin." I hate that she's not Charlotte. She's Ric Flair's daughter, Charlotte.
Right.
Charlotte. I hate that. I hate that so much. Just be Charlotte. That, and I love that recently she's been winning using natural selection.
Yeah, that's a really good move. I agree with that. So, all in all, I think we both want to see Sasha walk out. I'm looking forward to their entrances. I hope they give one of those three divas a special WrestleMania entrance.
Oh, hearing Sasha's music in a huge stadium with that crowd that's going to explode.
I knew you would say that.
That's going to be great.
God, you're such a mark. All right.
For Sasha, yes.
Yes. Let's talk about the match that I think might actually steal the show, and that is going to be AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. Now, I know what you probably have a few things to say about this, and that's fine. But I really think you've got two extremely talented workers. I think the build to this match could have been a little bit better. Maybe I just don't like hearing the Y2 Jackass chant because it doesn't sound authentic at all. It's so forced. But other than that, I really dug like when Jericho came out on SmackDown and he did the promo where he was burning the Y2 Jericho shirt or the what was their team called? It was so brief I can't remember.
Oh damn, that's
Y2AJ or something like that. Anyway.
yeah.
But when he was burning their shirt and everything, man, I guess you really wanted to get one of those shirts because this is going to be a limited time offer.
Yeah.
But what do you think? I'm curious because I really think this could be a match that we talk about a good bit and favorably after WrestleMania. What do you think?
I'm happy that they didn't bury Styles in either the IC title match or the Battle Royal because he could have easily been lost in the scuffle there. Two, I love that so far, at least from what I've seen, I love that AJ Styles has been proving so many people wrong. And you'll love this when I say this. He hasn't been as bad as people say he is on the mic. He's been good. Like, he's been able to carry his own for the most part.
Right. Well, one thing, and, there's some people I know that talk about how bad he is and his accent and all that. But one thing is he's been doing this for a while now. And you can kind of tell he's gotten better. So I don't think that's a negative point, as much of a negative point as it was.
Yeah, I love that he's been pretty much shutting his critics up. Two, this is just such a dumb thing, but I love that Y2J keeps calling him a rookie.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
God, I love that so damn much.
My only request is that this match not end, because I'm picking AJ Styles to win. I request that this not end with the calf killer. I don't mind the move, but it's a WrestleMania moment, and I need it to end with the Styles Clash.
Yeah, I hate that he's even though it's probably my third favorite move in all of wrestling, beaten only by I don't know what's my favorite, but I know his, how much I love his Pele kick.
Right.
But I hate that the springboard forearm is finishing matches. I'm like, if you're gonna give him a finisher, give him he didn't used to do like a corkscrew moonsault.
Yeah.
That would have been something better, especially for his style. But
though he hasn't done that in years that I've seen. So
the last time I saw him do that, I believe, was when he won the title in TNA right before he left.
Right.
I believe that's like the last time.
So I want to go from the match that I think might steal the show to the one that I think has the potential to either be extremely talked about or just the complete stinker of the whole card, and that is Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker. And we could spend a lot of time talking about the build, but I really am interested. I want to know what you think the actual match is going to be like. What are you expecting from this actual match?
In my heart of hearts, in my true heart of hearts, I see this match being a slightly more athletic version of Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar.
Wow. Okay.
I don't see these guys doing much. I believe the only reason why they have a Hell in a Cell is just so they're confined to a certain location. And there's going to be over 100 years of age wrestling in that match. Or just under, I believe.
But you saw Raw, right? You saw him go through the table. You don't think that was an indicator of what they're going to pull out for the biggest show of the year?
This is the thing. What do you expect? Like, he's not coming off the top of the cake. No way in hell he's doing that. He
Fine.
might do...
But if he does, next podcast, you have to admit that I was right.
I would admit that you were right, and I would start watching every Zack Ryder match if that happens.
Deal.
All right, if he jumps, how about this? I'll make you a deal. If he jumps off the top of the cage, I will no longer hate on both Ryder and Truth.
I accept this deal.
Okay. At most, he's gonna do a spot similar to what Rollins and Ambrose did, and just off the side
Out
of the
off the
thing.
side, which is honestly probably more what's going to happen. That's clear thinking, probably closer. How much interference do you see happening in this match from outside sources?
You know what I thought was gonna be what I believe is gonna happen. I don't know why. Just because John Cena is a freak of nature, and it looks like his healing is above schedule.
He's back in
I
the
don't know
gym,
why.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know why I see like Cena coming in and either screwing the Undertaker, like say he just comes in and helps him just because he hates the Authority that damn much,
Right.
or and then like if on the next Raw it shows that like Cena and him are like in cahoots or kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, the most logical interference would be Vince.
Yeah. So no chance on the Mean Street Posse.
Oh, there's always a chance for them. Every pay-per-view in any match, there's always a possibility for the Street Posse. Now, I have a question for you.
All right.
What's the possibility of there being blood in this match?
A good possibility. A very good one.
Yeah.
What's the possibility of this being Undertaker's final match? Or
I'm going
final WrestleMania. The stipulation was that he would no longer have a match at WrestleMania. Sorry.
See, this is why I don't like this match. Is because like at this point you can't boo Shane McMahon. It's hard to boo him.
It's Shane McMahon, dude.
It's Shane McMahon. And then B, you're asking if like I want Shane to win. By that means you expect me to willingly want to see the Undertaker lose at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You can't expect that from me. So I'm abstaining from picking in this match because I don't want to pick. But I just don't get what's the point of this match. I really wish it would have just easily been Shane versus Vince.
Right. And
I really do.
I just don't think Vince can do it anymore. I think if he even thought he could, he would try it. But here's the other thing too. I'm wondering if perhaps if it could be Taker's way of going, okay, well, I'm done with WrestleManias. I might do a couple more matches before I fully retire. I don't know. I don't think it is. I have a feeling that there's going to be some screwy stuff, but we've kind of discussed this in the past. They've written themselves into a corner, and the only good thing I'm kind of looking forward to if Undertaker does lose is that it looks like the brand split may be coming back, and I like the brand split, but that's me.
I see that.
Also, the build for this, it's not been a bad build, but it's been a very confusing one. And here's the thing, you brought up something, and I'm gonna make a point of this real quick. Ever since Shane McMahon fought Kurt Angle and he got suplexed at the King of the Ring through that piece of glass that didn't break. You remember what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, when like I do not recommend anybody watching this only because the moment where Shane's head hit the floor
is so
is
gross.
the loudest, cringe-worthiest thud.
It's amazing. Oh,
dude.
I knew from that moment. I knew from that very second that I had to respect Shane McMahon. No matter how bad a match of his was, if he was willing to do that, then I knew that there was a level of respect there. So ever since he's come back, even though I just don't like a lot of the stuff they're doing with the feud here, I can't, like you said, I can't not be somewhat excited. I'm looking forward to this match, but I think it's going to be, it has the potential of being the worst train wreck ever.
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Brock versus Goldberg.
Let me ask you one really quick question. What is your ideal outcome for this match, though, if you could pick it?
If I could pick it, it would be possibly because everybody wants. Well, not everybody, but the rumor is that Cena Undertaker was supposed to be a thing.
It was, yeah.
I guess I want to see if Shane is not coming off the top of the cage. I want to see Undertaker John Cena come in and screw the Undertaker. Don't know why.
Cena heel.
Maybe because it. Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen. Yeah. But.
Yeah, there's no way. Right. This is the thing. Whatever outcome leads to the Authority not talking, I'll choose that.
I love Steph and Triple H, but some of their promos lately, I'm just like, all right, shut up. I got it.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So let's talk about Ambrose versus Lesnar. I was very confused by the wagon segment on Raw, where Ambrose comes down with the wagon and just starts putting all the weapons in there. Like, it was kind of neat, but that feels like something you should have done 2 weeks ago and had this particular end in a brawl. And it still might, because Ambrose does have a match on SmackDown, so we'll see how that goes. Let me ask you, what do you think about this match?
At first, I wasn't all too happy with it. I just didn't really see it. But the building of it has been pretty good, only because the way WWE has booked Ambrose, for the most part, shows that he could go, especially now with he's carrying like New Jack's little trolley with him. That just, I love that. I wish they didn't like beat it with a dead horse. I love that Mick Foley gave him the bat.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's supposed to be a 2x4, but I'll let it go. I love that he gave him the bat.
It was so cool.
It was still great. I thought it was the kind of over the top, the whole chainsaw thing. In my head, I kind of said like a very not PC joke, where I was like, if you're gonna give him the chainsaw, should the next weapon be the knife that one dude used to stab Bruiser Brody? But I guess that's a little too far.
Well, other people have mentioned New Jack, and there are several things with New Jack that aren't very PC, but I thought he would be appropriate. Tommy Dreamer, of course, but they should have opened with that. If Sabu and came out and gave him a chair, I would have popped for that.
Or Abdullah with the fork.
Oh, the fork. Yeah.
Yeah, but you mentioned last Raw with him pulling the thing. I loved because it just builds the aura that is Lesnar. I love that Lesnar just looked at him going like, you take your toys, I'm still murdering you.
Right.
He did not look the slightest bit intimidated by his little toys. I love that.
One thing is that the announcers are trying to, pimp out, hey, what weapons are going to be used and what could, Brock do with this in his hand. Brock doesn't seem like the kind of guy who needs a weapon. Part of his cool factor is that this dude can destroy you with his bare hands. So
yeah.
It's going to be Ambrose, I think, mostly using the weapons. What do you think about interference? We kind of talked about this earlier. Chance that the Wyatts might actually interfere, and the way that it played out on SmackDown is that the Wyatts came out and attacked Brock, but Ambrose came out, and so Ambrose had to take out a couple of the Wyatt members on his way down to get Brock. So I imagine that the Wyatts come down and actually attack both of them. That's my guess.
I don't want that to happen only for one reason. It makes Ambrose look weak.
Yeah.
Because if Ambrose beats Lesnar, granted if he beats him, it's going to be... They're pretty much almost exactly copying and paste the CM Punk match that Lesnar had. Where the only reason why CM Punk even had the slightest of edges was because he started whacking him with canes and chairs.
Right.
So they're going to do that. Like, that's how they're going to show that this little scrawny kid could whoop on him. But if Ambrose wins because of Wyatt shenanigans, it makes him look a little weak. Granted, at this point, he could lose to Santino and the crowd will still love him. Like, that point is kind of still is a bit moot. But it makes him look weak if he wins because of Wyatt shenanigans.
Well, if the Wyatts come out and attack both of them equally, he won't look as weak. But if they come out and attack Brock more, then yeah, I agree with you. So I don't know. This is another one I'm actually looking forward to. I think this could be really good. Like, this match seems to have so much potential. I like Ambrose a lot. I actually think that Lesnar, as much as I'm not a huge Lesnar fan, I think put with the right opponent, he can make a match good. So this is one I want to see. I want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, that, and if I know that Wyatt's, I believe, suffering a bad back at the moment.
Yeah, supposedly he's wrestling again, but yes, he has recently had a bad back.
Like, if Wyatt was going to interfere, that just should have been the match to begin with. And that it kind of reeks of that.
Right.
that was going to be the match, but
Oh,
since
they've altered the plans so many times. Apparently, ever since before Royal Rumble, there was all these plans of Lesnar versus Wyatt, and they got scrapped. And part of it got scrapped because of the bad back. But yeah, it's why things have seemed so clunky and just not all together. Their flow between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania has not been good.
no, it just proves just how awful these injury situations have been.
Which brings us to our main event, or one of our main events, but the main event that I have listed here on the card. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your interest in Triple H versus Roman Reigns for the WWE title?
I'm at a 5.
You're higher than I am, and this is why. I'll explain real quick. I thought when I first heard about the match, I was like, I'm a Triple H fan. I do not want to see him lose to Roman Reigns. Or if he does, I want to like Roman Reigns first more. And so as some of this build was happening, I really didn't they didn't do a good job of building up Roman Reigns to me. They did do a really good job of getting me excited because of all these brawls they're having, and constantly it feels like these two just really want to kill each other, which I give him that. And this past Raw even still did another good job. The best moment, though, was Triple H coming down in the leather jacket and just beating the holy fuck out of Roman. That was the best part. But I don't know. I'm not. I don't want Roman to win, and I don't. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is this. This is exactly why I'm telling you I'm at a 5. Because 5 is exactly half. I don't recall Roman wrestling in a Raw the past 4 Raws, I believe.
I think you're right.
Triple H at least wrestled Ziggler.
Mm-hmm.
So I should at least care for half of the match because I care about Triple H. I do not like. I'm not one of these guys who hates Roman for the sake of hating him. I think Roman's good. I think he's a fine wrestler. I think he's okay. I think he could carry himself well enough. I see him exactly in the sense of like John Cena, where if you give him an opponent that could work, the match would be great. Just like how his matches were versus Daniel Bryan were good. His matches were against Seth Rollins were good and all that. His match against Dean Ambrose for the title was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I see it.
That was a good match.
Yeah. But again, but just like how you said, I have no reason to care for Roman. Like, I can't stand the fact that he hasn't came out on Raw. How are you gonna build the guy who's gonna come out and carry the company, and you're not gonna show him on your flagship show? Like, I do not recall this ever happening with John Cena. Say what you will about John Cena.
Yeah.
That man was there wrestling every Raw right before the main event of Mania. He was out there.
Yeah. Do you think, though, that this might be that they're trying to gauge the fans? They think the fans believe Roman's overexposed, and so they have kept him from doing actual matches and just had these brawls. Like, you have these high action moments, these segments that are supposed to incite fans to cheer and everything, and that way you don't give them a match where they can boo him or anything.
I see your point in that, but I feel it's all moot because I don't know. I feel like Roman at this point is beyond repair as a face. As a face, I don't think you can fix him anymore. You have to turn him heel at this point, which I don't see them doing. Like, I know the Raw after WrestleMania, there's always a good opportunity for a heel turn, or there's always a good moment for a shock.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't see it. And the worst part about it is, if Roman wins, right, who does he face after that? Can you think of one or two heels that should go after the title?
The only one that I see Kevin Owens losing his IC title and then going after Roman Reigns' belt. That was the only one I could think of.
but that won't happen right away according to our picks because we both picked Owens to continue.
I know, I know. I'm just saying I've thought about several different possibilities, and the problem is that they're lacking really good heels right now. Let's think about this. So the League of Nations, are a group of heels, but they're all kind of not in the main event right now, right? You have Owens,
Right.
who's like a main event heel in my opinion, even though he technically has the IC belt and is dealing with a lot of mid carders right now. So Triple H is your biggest heel. Who are there any other big heels on the active roster right now?
No, like hopefully they build Wyatt quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I got it. I got it.
Oh,
6 month long feud with Ryback, because that will put me
okay.
to sleep immediately. All right. Is there any chance that Triple H walks out with the belt? Maybe Roman wins it on the Raw the following night. What do you think? Any chance of that?
I don't see them doing that twice with Roman.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. I think you're right.
And this is just one this whole pay per view just reeks of man. I wish everyone was healthy.
I think their best bet is to not have this be the final match. I know I have it listed as the final match on the card that I wrote up, but I really think that the final match is probably going to end up being the Hell in the Cell or something. No, it should be the Hell in the Cell because no matter what happens there, it's probably going to be more interesting than this match.
Steven, allow me to ask you this question:
All right.
how long should Roman Triple H be? Should it be that 30-minute classic? Should it go 45? Or
No,
should it just be a simple 15?
I was going to say like 20. I was seriously going to say, because here's the thing. There are two ways you could, of course, go about this. You either have it be a kind of a long match, and you have some good surprises, some decent wrestling, and the ending, right? And,
Mm.
since the ending's kind of predictable, and since I don't think Roman can pull out, I have nothing against Roman Reigns as a wrestler. He's competent enough. I'd rather watch him wrestle than a lot of other people, but I don't see him pulling out anything that's amazing. So I'd say go for a 15 or 20-minute match, or maybe even a little bit shorter match, where you have it hard, fast, do like kind of like he did with Lesnar when he faced him. I want to see some blood. I want to see some brutality. Make it good, make a hit, make it fast, and do something maybe that we're not expecting. That might be the best idea.
Yeah, I could see that. That and any chance that match is longer than Shane Undertaker?
I kind of hope not, because Shane Undertaker a lot. It lends itself towards being longer because you can have more stuff going on in the cage. You can have more downtime with what you can do in the Hell in the Cell. The interference element that we talked about, like that one should be longer. Let's not
I
forget
see
though,
that.
like time wise, 30 minutes is going to be taken up by The Rock. So
Oh,
might
good
not
God, I
have
forgot
might not
about that.
have all this. And I'm sorry, I have to ask you: is it me or did they had awesome music for WrestleMania last year? I love the theme. I love the side songs they use. And this year, I hate most of it. There's only like one side song I've heard. No offense to that "Welcome to My House" song. I'm sure it's fine on its own, but as a WrestleMania theme, I don't care. I don't care. I know that they're having one live performance, but I hope it's not of that song, and I really I'll probably go piss during that.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about The Rock. That kind of he's gonna play a role in the main event. No, he's gonna play a role in Triple H match. I feel it now. Damn.
I don't know if I agree with that. I did hear a prediction that he would play a role in Shane versus Undertaker. Like some people apparently think Vince will try to interfere and Rock will come out and stop him. So
I see that only because if he interferes in any of those two, where he either interferes with Triple H or makes Undertaker lose, that means he already like gives a middle finger to the authority. So I guess that builds WrestleMania 33 Rock Triple H, which has been a rumor for a while now.
right, yeah, supposedly. All right. I think that does it for our coverage. Let me ask you real quick: is there any one thing that you really want to see happen post WrestleMania? Based off of what you think might happen and some of your predictions, is there any one thing that you'd really like to see post WrestleMania?
Easy. I want once Sasha Banks wins the title, I want her to come out on Raw saying she's the best diva, and she's gonna give anybody a shot at her title on that Raw.
You want
And as soon as
Bayley
she's
to come
done
out?
talking, I want to see 1,000 inflatable tube men popping out and hearing the greatest song in the history of wrestling blow up the arena and watch Bayley come out.
You're so predictable. You're so predictable.
Hey, I like good things.
I would love to see Seth Rollins come out and reclaim the title in the next month from whoever has it, either Triple H or actually Seth vs Triple H would be a dream match for me. But realistically, I think what we're going to get is a really good AJ Styles Owens feud. Supposedly, though, they want Cesaro to face AJ Styles when he comes back, so that'll be good too.
So you turn Cesaro face again?
Technically, he was face when he left. So,
I mean heel. I apologize.
Oh yeah, so I don't mind if they turn AJ heel. I think that might be. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I'll get back to you on that.
That and within now to be or the end of the next pay-per-view, I want to hear two things.
Okay.
I either want to hear voices in my head, or I want to hear do 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 do, which means I want Cena and Orton to come back only because I'll be honest, I miss them. I really do miss watching.
You know, you're saying this, and there are a lot of fans out there right now who probably just because they've been doing it for years, they want to trash Cena, but I don't know, man. I really enjoyed his open challenge, whether he had the belt or not. He was making that stuff look good. And Orton, I've always said, is good in the ring. He just needs better storylines or something. I don't know. He always seems like he's missing certain elements. But it's beyond right now. They'll be back soon.
Don't forget, who was my superstar of the year last year?
It was John Cena, right? Yeah. All right. Well, with that in mind, if you would like to get in contact with Ulysses and ask him why John Cena was the superstar of the year, actually, you can just go listen to that episode. He explains it pretty well. But if you want to talk to him about why he wants to see Orton back and Cena back in the ring, you can find him on Twitter at
we_cho_.
Yeah, don't forget that second underscore. Everybody else does. All right. You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Wilds. All of this information and more will be in the description in the bottom. And no matter what happens, we hope you at least find something to enjoy from WrestleMania.
Yeah, there's always going to be plenty of bright spots.
Right. But until next time, you guys take it easy.
Goodbye.